right, so we have a sequence question here, and it's actually asking us to solve the sum of the first 10 sequence numbers in the sequence. So we are going to have to solve each of the individual components, then add them together and try to figure out what that sum is going to equal. And they've given us, if you look at the answer choices, they've given us like a range of possible outcomes between, 1/4 and a half, or a half and one, or 1 and 2, or greater than 2, and the last option is less than 1/4. So because we're going up to 10, in most cases, I would say, just write them out and just solve it. But I think here we could probably solve it quicker if we looked for a pattern. So I'm going to start with the first term in the sequence. And I've made this little grid over here to show each of the terms in this column, and then the sum of the terms we've currently finished up in this final column. So in this first column, if I plug 1 in for k, and remember, k is just the term, it's not the sum of the terms. So if I plug 1 in for k, I get -1 to the 2 power, which is going to become 1, times 1 over 2 to the 1, which is going to give me 1/2 as a result. Now, if I go down to the second term in the sequence, the second term is going to be -1 up to the 3rd power, which is going to equal -1, times 1 over 2 squared, which is equal to 1/4. So I have -1 times 1/4, which is going to give me -1/4, but I still have to add the positive 1/2 from the original first term in the sequence, which is going to give me positive 1/4, because 1/2 is equal to 2/4, and 2/4 plus -1/4 is going to give me positive 1/4. So this is where we're at currently. Now let's add the third term. So the third term is now going to give us a positive 1 here, because we are going to have -1 to the 3 plus 1, so -1 to the 4th power, which is going to give us a positive 1. And then we have 1 over 2 to the 3rd, which is 1/8. So I have positive 1/8. Currently, the sum of the first two terms was positive 1/4. So if I add positive 1/8, I'm going to end up with positive 3/8. Now the fourth term is going to give me, let's see, a -1 here times 1 over 2 to the 4th, which is 1 over 16. So I'm adding -1/16 to positive 6/16, because 3/8 is equal to 6/16. And what I end up with is 5/16. Now we've done 2 steps twice. And if you imagine going down to 10, we're going to do another few of these steps of 2 where we have 1 positive, 1 negative. And then I'm noticing that this value on the right-hand side continues to decrease. So it continues to become less important, essentially, to the total. And we are flip-flopping between adding and subtracting that value that's increasing and decreasing. If you look at how the sum has changed from the first line where it was positive 1/2, we went from positive 1/2 to positive 1/4 to a sum of 3/8, which is between 1/4 and 1/2. So we went to 3/8. Then we bounced down to 5/16, which is between 2/8 and 3/8, which means we're going to be right here. So basically we went like this. We're bouncing up and down by half as much as we bounced last time. And what you'll notice is that we stay between 1/2 and 1/4. And that means that our answer is answer choice D. So I like to look for pattern and pattern recognition here. You obviously have to solve this out within 2 minutes. I think it's doable, but I wouldn't recommend writing out every single term in the sequence, because there are 10 terms and the formula is a bit clunky, and you're not going to want to find the common bases for everything. But if you look at the pattern, it's fairly straightforward, and I think conceptualizing it visually is also a nice way to go.